Hello and welcome to our program, Violence Free World. My name is Callivision and we'll return with another very hot conversation today. And we have in the studio a scholar, a politician, a film maker, Alex Enyenwo. Alex, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we're going to come back into the conversation straight, but after this. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Since independence, elections in Nigeria have been associated with volatility. This perception stems from the incidents of violence experienced during and after elections. The 1964 elections recorded violence in unprecedented proportions, resulting in widespread arson, looting, and killing. Similarly, in 1979, though with a lesser intensity, violence broke out at various locations across Nigeria in protest of the election results that announced Alhaji Shehu Shagari as winner over Chief Obafemi Awolowo. The casualty figure was minimal but will be magnified for the 1983 elections when Shehu Shagari again won re-election. A significant dimension to that election was what played out at the state level, particularly in Ondo State, when Chief Akin Omoboriwo was initially pronounced victorious over incumbent Governor Adekunle Ajasin, a decision that was later reversed by the courts. His supporters literally ignited the state while protesting the outcome of the election. 1993 was the next major election moment, and in a much more defiant and sustained manner, angry Nigerians protested the annulment of the election of Chief Moshood Abiola in the June 12 presidential election by the General Ibrahim Babangida-led military administration. The resulting political tension took over a decade to settle. Political analysts and pundits had from this legion of sad events begun to build predictions with a near sense of certainty that Nigeria's disintegration will happen in the not-too-distant future. The casualty figure that came with the 2011 elections led people in several quarters to assume a looming catastrophe could happen with the 2015 general elections. The D-Day finally came, replete with the usual drama of ballot box snatching, rhetoric of fury, and climaxed with the unlikely concession of victory by the incumbent President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to opposition candidate Muhammadu Buhari. Interestingly, all of the palpable tension melted into wide jubilation and excitement. Many patriots have struggled with accepting this trend as part of our culture and would rather consider it an exception, hence the flurry of programs to change the orientation of the citizenry. Laws have been made to specifically deal with election-related violence and other forms of malpractices that promote violence. It seems, however, though, that the local political offices hold far overwhelm any sense of reason. Perhaps a deliberate attempt to make political offices less attractive may serve to reduce the incidence of violence during elections. Schools at our level, religious organizations, and the National Orientation Agency would need to redouble their efforts at getting the citizenry to appreciate that all elections can be credible and indeed violence-free. All right, Alex, in what ways do you think the spate of violence in Nigeria has impacted on the entertainment industry with regards to content and even revenue production?
It does affect us in terms of, because you're talking of security, you're talking of what are the fallouts of violence, security issues. It instills fear in people, your cast and crew. Take, for instance, I say I want to go and shoot in the inner part of Kano or Kaduna or Maiduguri. the artist, my cast and crew will give it a second thought. And considering the fact that you also know that we've had issues with some of our artists being abducted while on location, you know. So the first thing that violence, you know, brings as far as filmmaking is concerned, it's that of atmosphere of fear on the part of the cast and crew. Then on the part of investors, no investor wants to lose money, you understand, and because once the investment in film is different from investment in other sector. You do it per day. The camera, your equipment, you are paying daily. So if you lose some hours, not to talk of lose 1 day, 2 days, due to violence, you are unable to shoot, you're losing money. And perhaps you took loan or friends and family, you know, you will be very careful. So these are some of the things. It affects your cast and crew. It affects the investor in having confidence, you know, in the project you're doing. And most colleagues have experienced this thing. But despite that, like we always say, and like you know, the show must always go on. And we are going straight on to do what we have to do, because like I said, it's not endemic to filmmaking. Okay. The effect of violence is a pandemic.
Okay, that's the media world to entertainment media, but generally going to the media, how well or how badly do you think the media in Nigeria generally has managed the situation of terrorism in Nigeria here, media?
To a large extent, I would say the media are doing, the practitioners are doing what they should do, and the various media organizations know that they should do what they are doing. And so I scored the media high.
Very high on this decade. The worsening state of insecurity in Nigeria now seems to pose a direct threat on the possibility of even holding elections, especially now that even some politicians are even trying to politicize the entire situations. But it's looking quite tidy. Are you one of those persons who share in that fear that there may actually not even be elections at all come 2023?
Oh, definitely, I'm not one of those. I believe even in war situations, that's full-blown war situations, elections still get conducted, you know. So I don't believe that we are facing an Armageddon. No, I don't believe so. Yes, are there things the government of the day should do to, you know, create that enabling environment for the elections to be held next year, 2023? Yes, and that has to do with creating that confidence in people, letting people have that, particularly the electorate, not the politicians, particularly the electorate, letting them have that sense of security, that if they go out or if they participate in the electoral process, you know, they are safe before the election day, during the election, and even after, because some of this violence, you know, happen even after the election. So that's the duty of the government of the day, because the first and major responsibility of the government is to secure lives and property. So that is at the doorstep of the government of the day, and using the various agents of government to ensure security. Secondly, to the politician, and that is why politicians should know that there is life after the election, and that is why, if only they can stay on issues and not on personality attacks, and not on name callings, and not to ethnicize the election, not to make it a religious issue, not to make it an ethnic issue, but they should make it an issue of what are you going to do differently, if you will. And I think, well, if that is done, that normally or expectedly will bring down the temperature. And because it is when the temperature is high due to some of these things I've just said, name calling, personality attack, and all of that, playing on religious sentiments, playing on ethnic sentiments, and if you do this and it leads to the election day, then it's like sitting on a keg of gunpowder, which may explode even before the election or on election day.
Securing lives and property, you hinted at that much, and that resonates with me. And going forward, as far as that is concerned, how are you able, do you know about the general perception as far as government handling of insecurity in Nigeria generally today is? There's palpable fear, there's discontent, people are angry, and they are talking because they had so much expectations. A general was coming to lead Nigeria in this capacity as a civilian now, and let's see what we're going to be, how you're going to bring his experience to bear on this. It was an APC government. Now I'm taking you to your forte now. You are a politician, and I know you support the APC and the candidature of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The APC government is at its twilight. You want to continue it. What do you want to tell the people as far as security is concerned? Because that seems to be our main challenge, concern right now.
Yeah, thank you, Kali. Yes, if anything, one of the major things the present government, as led by our president, Muhammadu Buhari, one of the key things he promised Nigerians and Nigeria is security. And he promised security because of what was on ground as at the time he took over in 2015. And if you ask me, has he delivered in terms of what he meant on ground vis-a-vis his promises to dealing with the issue of security? I'll say yes, substantially. He has delivered. Mind you, in 2015, all the things he met on ground, they are no longer there today. But, and you know some of them, time was in this country where several local government areas were under the full control of terrorists, bandits, the Boko Haram. Full control. Time was in 2015 when bomb explosion, go up without notice, intermittently. Time was where people live in fear, pre-2015. But all that has not happened. You cannot say as of today that even here in Eagle Square, bomb goes off. We don't have all of that again. But in security situation, I'm not a security expert, but in security situation, as you solve one security challenge, others crop up. There was no Boko Haram. We don't hear so much of Boko Haram again. That challenge has been dealt with. But another one crops up, and this government is dealing with this insurgent problem. So for me, it is not correct to say that President Muhammadu Buhari has not delivered on his promise as it concerns security. He has delivered, but new ones keep cropping up. But it is his capacity to deal with even the new ones that are cropping up that matters, and he is meeting expectation as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned, the security situation in this country today is not as bad as the opposition party would want to paint it. You understand? If it's that bad, they will not be able to even live in this country. So in 2015, most of them that are talking today cannot go to their various communities. Most of them, I don't need to mention them, but today, most of them go to their communities. They go there to campaign and all of that. So it's not as bad as every country, even the developed world, US, UK, they have security situations. People just go to black areas, carry gun, shoot, kill hundreds, and all of that. So it's everywhere. There must be security issue in every country. There are deviants everywhere, and there are criminal elements anywhere. It is the capacity of the government of the day to deal with it that matters. And the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has done well in that aspect.
Okay, ethnicity, the attendant tension as far as the elections are concerned, same faith, religion, but those will be part of the stuff we're going to come back and talk to when we come back from this break. This is Violence Free World. I'll be right back after this time out. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, Alex, the issue of ethnicity, religion has cropped up again. Each time there's an election, we always have this issue. Ethnicity, yeah, we want the presidency to rotate and come from the north to the south, something your political party, the APC, is at home with, very comfortable with. But they fail us in religion, as in having the same faith ticket, having Muslim on the ticket. And there's something that a lot of people are not very comfortable with, and I don't know how this resonates, how this sits with you, and yet you're going into the elections. Bola Tinubu is a Muslim, Shatima, another Muslim. And how come you're not sensitive to these feelings of the people generally going forward?
Well, for me, as a professional in politics, not a professional politician, I will say I'm surprised that at this time and age, people will still be talking of religion as it concerns politics. You know, people will still be talking about ethnicity and all of that. Yes, it's fine, maybe for balancing. The offices should rotate because of the multiple ethnic groups that we have in Nigeria. We have so many, maybe over 200 and over 400 languages. So it's good, you know, and even the opposition party, you know, have it in its own constitution. And that opposition party, that's the PDP, for instance, it's enshrined in their own constitution that power must rotate from north to south. But unfortunately, they violated their own constitution. It's not in the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that for you to be president or for the president and vice presidential candidate of a particular political party must come from different religion and all of that. So what the APC has done by picking Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as its presidential candidate and Alhaji Shetima as vice presidential candidate, and rightly so too, it has not offended the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. It has not offended the Constitution of the APC. In politics, you want to win election and you deploy the best strategy to win your elections. And why are people being hypocritical? At state levels, you have Muslim governor, Muslim deputy, Christian governor, Christian deputy. At LGA level, you have Christian local government chairman, the vice Christian. In states, you have other religions. Oh, come on, we should stop this hypocrisy and face politics the way politics should be faced.
That's very well, that's noted. Now, there's a significant increase in the voter registration that had just ended, creating the impression that there will be minimal voter apathy this time. That's excellent. But what about vote buying? It's not something that I think we have been able to deal with conclusively yet, convincingly yet. How do you think this will affect the chances of your candidate or your party in the 2023 general elections? Because there are new sets of voters and the way they are looking, and that kind of say it doesn't look like they want to go the normal way.
I'm sure you've seen the breakdown of these new voters you're talking about, and you can see, say, the first 5 states that have the numbers, 5, 6 states. These are APC states. These are APC states. Even going by the data which has been released by INEC, the leading states in these new registrants, you understand, these are APC controlled states, and we are not losing sleep about it. I also hear people talk about the youths are now woken up and all of that. They talk as if APC don't have youths. If anything, in terms of numbers, no political party can boast of youths, either new or old youths, than APC.
I'm just trying to drop in this now. You see, there's this new concern, new talk about people not necessarily wanting to vote according to party leanings. This time, you just go and vote. You must have heard about the obedient movement. Yeah, Peter Obi is I know it's like it's a headache for almost every major contender to the throne this time. And how does the obedient movement worry you? Don't you think that most of these people registering are registering? Because I go and I hear them talk, this time around, we're taking it back. It's like a furtherance of the end SARS. So the end game is we're going to install our own man who is not the pro-established persons, ASPA, at least. Well, that's what Peter Obi represents.
I don't know what they mean by what Peter Obi represents or not. Peter Obi belongs to the old order. He was in PDP, was a PDP governor, then from there moved to ABGA, then back to PDP, left ABGA back to PDP, and now in Labour Party. He's been there, so he's part of the old order. It's not just a new person. Anybody seeing him as, the Messiah, that's a huge joke. And nobody is losing sleep about Peter Obi. I don't want to talk about him because in my introductory remark, I said, part of the pathway to violence-free Nigeria, in this case, violence-free election, is when we talk less about personalities. Let's talk about issues and all of that. So I don't want to dwell about it, but I just need to establish that Peter Obi is part of the old order. It's not the Messiah, and it cannot be Messiah. And as a matter of fact, and I've said this to many people, and let me just say it here. Peter Obi, what is happening, what you're seeing now, it's what I call cocaine rush effect. When those who sniff cocaine, when you take it, it takes you to some level. You're thinking that you will remain at that level, but before you know it, everything will clear and you are back to square one. You understand? Peter Obi, and maybe I will come back here after the 2023 election. This election is won and lost already. It's going to be won by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the second place will be Atiku Abubakar will come a distant second, while between Kwakwanso and Obi, they will struggle who will come a distant third. And I suspect Obi that you talk about, will come a distant fourth. He may be lucky to defeat Alhaji Kwakwanso to the third position. But that is a reality on ground. Forget what you see, forget this social media stuff, forget this talk about movement, forget all this talk about production, from consumption to production, when you are part of the issue of consumption. And there are facts. These are facts, because you are Peter Obi is the biggest importer of consumables, all those things we eat, all those things you see in supermarkets that you can buy from here. Is the biggest importer of these things. Now you are talking about moving from consumption to production, when you are the architect of Nigeria being a consumption or consumer nation today.
Okay, it's good that you're keeping into the issue, but let's now ask this main question, probably the essence, the crux of what we're here. How can we make the 2023 general elections violence-free? Sincerely from your mind.
Yeah, I alluded to that in my earlier statement, that the best way around it is to market your candidate, market your choice as much as you can, using all legitimate means. Try not to spend time trying to demarket other candidates. Try not to look for an item in broad daylight with torchlight. It doesn't make sense. By the time you are doing all of that, you're wasting time, and you are bringing up issues that the other person will counter you. Then there will be counter again, and all of that. Before you know it, it heats up the environment, and that's what the kind of politics we're seeing. So my appeal would be that once campaign starts in less than 3 weeks from now, people should stay on issues, stay off personalities, stay on issues. What are you going to do as it concerns the economy? What are you going to do as it concerns security, education, other very vital thing, agriculture, infrastructure? How are you going to do it? It's not to just say things and say you can verify, and when we verify falsehood. That is not the pathway. It's not to be saying, oh, this is primary school, is this, is secondary school, is this, it does not have this, it's not from here, it's not from the. It doesn't make sense. Those are the kind of things that will heat up the system. So whatever we do, leading to the 2023 election, we must do everything to bring down the temperature. We must do everything to stay on issues and then market our candidates. Don't demarket the candidates, other candidates.
Well, Alex, I think that's a very good point to leave it at this point. I'd like to thank you very much for finding time to.
Thank you, and it's a great pleasure being here.
Okay then. I was speaking with Alex Ehiu. He's a veteran media practitioner, a politician too. He said, well, he's not a professional politician, but he's a professional all the same, generally and all things speaking. Like, same time next week, we're going to come your way with much more if you endeavor to be here. But until then, please remember to remain on the road to a violence-free Nigeria, and in this case particularly, on the road to a violence-free 2023. We can make it happen if you want to, if you cooperate. My name is Callivision. God bless you, and thank you for watching.
No.